Wow. 143 to 120 the final. Sacramento now 0-2 on this 6-game trip. And the alarming trend that we're seeing right now, even in wins, is how bad the Kings defense is. And particularly, Ryan, in the first half. The Kings are allowing way too many points in the first and second quarters. And then they're going, they're fighting an uphill battle. And you're like, it's hard to win that way, Ryan.
Yeah, Grant, they're not built to have those offensive explosions to come back from deficits like that. You make a great point. 38 points in the first quarter, 34 even is too much sometimes for a quarter, and then 39 in the third. It's letting the other guys get involved, Grant. You're getting the other guys hot. Bridges, Anunoby. Did anybody have him in 30 points tonight? I don't think so.
Well, now you're a game over 500, and if Phoenix wins, you're going to fall to 10th. Okay. Yep. And thank goodness that you got the Brooklyn Nets next, and then you're playing Philadelphia on their second night of a back-to-back. Philly plays at home the night before against the Lakers. That's a big game for Paul George, and then they're going to play a lot of minutes. They should be very tired for the Kings. But remember, Brooklyn already beat Sacramento once in Sacramento. We know Jordi Fernandez, their head coach, knows the Kings very well. Now, I would say this Kings team is a little bit different than the one that Jordi played earlier in the season, as are the Nets, by the way. Right. But I'll tell you, boy, you couldn't – thank goodness you're playing the Nets. They've lost 6 in a row and 9 of 10. That's your next opponent, and you need a weak opponent to get back on track.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. And thank goodness you beat the Golden State Warriors before you head out on this road trip. This could be a 3-game skid, Napes, but it's a game where the Kings have to, I think there's stuff you can learn from this game, number one. I think the Knicks are exactly what the Kings want to be in terms of physicality. I know that Jerry Reynolds at the half said they didn't get a great whistle, but the Knicks are a hard team to ref because they're constantly physical. It's always at that level. 48 minutes, you are getting a standard. And so, Grant, for a team like Brooklyn, the Kings got to come out and play whatever their game's going to be, but it's got to be better in the first quarter, like you said.
Got to be better. And that's another reason why I'm kind of I'm not sold on this Kings team for success if they make the playoffs. This is not a recipe for success. And again, I'm well aware of the win streak and how the Kings got from 13. And I know all of that. Okay. But I've told you along the way, they got every single break in the book. And like, I'm not, the Denver game didn't bother me because of circumstance. Do you know the Warriors game really bothered me? Because the Warriors had half their team out.
It's true.
And the Warriors still went into Sacramento and put 70 plus on the board in the first half. That's not a recipe for long-term success in the league. It's just not.
No, and I'll give you this, and this is not a this person over this person, but the 3 games that Keon Ellis started while Fox was out, the first quarter scores were 21, 28, and 27. That was against Golden State, Boston, and Miami.
All right, so what do you want to do then?
I don't know what you're going to do, quite honestly. You're going to have Fox on the floor, which is fine, but I think Doug Christie's got to look at the defensive scheme to a degree and decide what he's going to do in terms of containing the perimeter, because that's where it started tonight. You knew it was going to start there with Brunson getting downhill, and whether it's a little bit more of a zone, whether it's more pressure, Grant, picking up sooner, whether it's quicker rotations, if you're going to be asking these guys to go out, he's got to do something.
Keon Ellis only played 17 minutes tonight. That's not enough for your liking, is it?
No, probably not. I just think, Grant, and I'll kick this to you, I think it makes a big difference when right off the bat, you're in the team's face. You're not feeling them out, much like the Knicks were tonight. Yep. It sets a tone, not only for your opponent, sets a tone for the officials. And the Kings have to find a way with the group they're going to come with, whether it includes Fox or Keon, that's part of the formula, because when it is, that's when they play their best basketball.
But if you're Doug Christie, you can't take Malik Monk out of the starting lineup.
No, absolutely not.
You can't. I mean, a lot of people are getting down on De'Aaron Fox, and I understand it, but you can't take him out of the starting lineup. Now, could you sit him down because of injury? Yes, but it's not like you can take him and put him on he's not a bench player.
No.
So you really don't have a lot of options. I mean, you're going to start Fox and you're going to start Monk as long as they're healthy, which means Keon has to come off the bench.
Yeah, I think it might be just a little bit of maybe tweaking rotations, getting him in there quicker, picking up pressure sooner, but you got to have more than 17 minutes. Definitely tonight.
Okay, let's talk about De'Aaron Fox again. In watching the game, what do you see right now with his game?
I see him just going on his own for the most part offensively. It's freelancing, and not that the other guys aren't doing stuff on their own, but what the other guys are doing is largely based off of the pick and roll and the reads, off of what Sabonis and Monk are doing. When Fox ends up with the ball, it's a lot of one-on-ones. It's a lot of getting to the hoop or a shot that's kicked out to him on a spray. And I just don't see a lot of things, this is the best way to put it, Grant, within the offense that is being set up for De'Aaron Fox.
Well, the Kings right now are in 10th, and you can look at this any way you want. You can say, well, they're only 3 losses back of the Clippers, who are in 6th. Or you can say that they're only 1 loss, okay, away from being 13th in the West. So you better not stub your toe against Brooklyn or Philadelphia coming up, because then you got
No, you got
Oklahoma
him.
City and Minnesota. And Minnesota all of a sudden is starting to play much better. They've won 5 in a row. Excuse me. They've won 2 in a row, but 6 out of 10. And they've climbed all the way up to 7th at 24 and 21. So the Minnesota Timberwolves are playing very well right now.
Yeah, they're starting to figure it out. Played well on national TV, as you said today.
Yep.
I think it's been the West the last couple of years. It's going to be that way. I think the big thing about this trip too that we're not looking at is you're playing the Eastern Conference. These are the games that you got to have. These are almost in some ways like double
Maybe
games.
not the Knicks, though. Maybe
Maybe
the
not
Knicks.
the Knicks, but you got to have one of two
The-
against the Knicks because of the way that you started out.
The Kings don't match up with the Knicks. The Knicks are too rough and tough for them. The Kings they might be a better, like, you might take Sacramento's roster over the Knicks if you were a general manager. I'm saying you might, but the matchup's not good for Sacramento. The personnel of the Knicks against the personnel of the Kings, that's not a good matchup for Sacramento. Just not.
Yeah, no, it's not. But matchups should not dictate physicality.
No,
I
you're
think,
right. But it does. It shouldn't. I agree with you. It
yeah,
should
it
not.
does. You're right.
All
Like
right.
Josh Hart, Grant, Kings killer. Guy had 7
Oh,
offensive rebounds
come
on
on.
his own. The Kings in the fourth quarter had 7 for the game halfway through it.
The bench tonight, once again, was invisible. The bench
Yeah.
is terrible. And if that's another part of this. As we approach the trade deadline, if the bench does not get a significant upgrade, how are the Kings going to be in the playoffs this year? Like,
Well,
I'm sorry. They still have a brutal part of their schedule in front of them, Ryan.
so what's a significant upgrade to you? Because if Lyles and Herter and maybe a pick or two is what the Kings are willing to deal, how much of an upgrade can you get?
I don't know. You'd have to tell me who you're getting in return.
Well, I look at the market right now, guys that might be on the market. I mean, you know the names, John Collins. Maybe you find a guy that's up and coming. Valanciunas. I guess what I'm saying is there's not really a significant upgrade without a significant move, which I don't believe is coming this year, at least at this trade deadline.
Okay, so right off the bat, you asked. Let me get to the former.
Yeah.
If you lose Lyles and you lose Herter without even knowing what I get back in return, who cares? They're not doing anything for you anyway on most nights. So, like, I'm not losing sleep without even knowing what you would get back in return. I'm okay, because they're not giving you anything right now for all intents and purposes, right? And we can say all you want about Devin Carter. He's not ready yet. And what I mean by not ready, he's not ready to be a difference maker.
Right. It's
All right?
clear. Yeah.
Right. He might get there, but he's not there. And you got to be realistic. He's probably not going to get there this year. Okay. So you can't really count on him. So if you talk about Keon Ellis and put him on the side for a minute, and you look at the Kings bench, it's a joke. I mean, let's just be honest. It's a joke.
Yeah. It's a high level G League bench with 2 guys that were not in the NBA to start the season.
I mean, it's so frustrating to see the starters on most nights play well, and then the bench just does nothing. And we've talked about that, and I'm not saying the starters, that was the case tonight, but
yeah,
the bench very rarely bails this team out. It happens sometimes, but rarely.
Yeah, it's usually Keon or Trey. To your first point about Trey Lyles, there's a little bit that I worry about giving up there because he's got a little bit of that bully into him. He's got a little bit of that swag that not a lot of guys on this team have. The shooting's been inconsistent, but the Knicks tonight, Grant, they have a worse bench than the Kings, and they still figure it out.
Yep.
Cat only played 27 minutes. And so I guess the point being, I know the Kings are only willing to go so far. And I want to be clear, this is not a Deal Fox conversation. It's just, the rest of the West is going to keep getting better. They're going to keep getting more comfortable. And so if we're going to get rid of two parts that don't really work, or you don't, you're still falling behind.
All right. So is the sample size, you're a lot more into analytics than I am.
Yeah.
You study this a lot more than I do in terms of the numbers. Is the sample size for you enough where you're confident in saying, you know what, it's time, trade Fox?
No.
Okay.
No. But I am at the point where the sample size is enough to say I need some more minutes with that group on the floor. However you figure that group out, that group has to be on the floor.
And for those that are joining late or aren't with us every night, what group, let's mention the names. What group are you referring to?
Let's put it up right now. So we've got it right here for you. Let's go to the full screen. So this grouping of DeMar DeRozan, Keon Ellis, Malik Monk, Keegan Murray, and Domantas Sabonis. These are the stats per 100 possessions coming in to tonight. So tonight's stats are not in there. Anything that is plus, that is over the Kings average. Anything negative is under the Kings average for the season. In some categories like turnovers, you want to be under. So that grouping coming into tonight, 112 minutes. You can see points wise, they're scoring 23 more points per 100 possessions than the grouping of your starters. DeRozan, Fox, Monk, Murray, and Sabonis. And Grant, here's the interesting one to me. They're making 9.2 more field goals, but they're only attempting 7 more field goals than the Kings average per 100 possessions this year, which tells me you're either shooting more efficiently or you're playing defense. And I think it's more of the latter.
Okay, here are my analytics. My analytics are my eyes, and your numbers illustrate a very good point. My eyes illustrate everything I need to know about the Sacramento Kings. We're past the halfway point, and the Kings are basically a 500 team. So they've played now, 45 games, right?
Yep.
45 games,
45.
and they're basically 500. Too often we come on this post-game show, win or lose, and talk about the defense and giving up so many points. And you made a good point a couple of moments ago. This Kings team is not the Kings team of 2 years ago because of the style that they play, where they can just get in a track meet and outscore you 140 to 139. Can they do it? Yes. But with DeMar DeRozan and the way the offense is structured now, the track meet of 2 years ago, that's not their MO, right?
No, not even close.
So with that being said, defense becomes more of a focal point. Look at what these teams have done over the last week. Forget about whether the Kings won or lost for a moment. Okay? Just forget about whether they won or lost. Tonight, Denver, Golden State, right? Yeah. Look at these teams, whether they were on back-to-backs, rested, whatever. The Kings have been healthy for all these games. They've had their full roster, and their defense has been pathetic.
143 tonight, 132 in Denver, 123 against Golden State, 123 against Washington, 132 against Houston, 130 against Milwaukee, and 124 or 119 against Chicago. Yeah.
Even giving 123 up to Washington is horrible. They're the worst team in the league.
Yeah, it's a lot of points, and you let them get comfortable from beyond the three-point line. That was the old Kings conversation, right? I have a graphic kind of showing, I'm going to go to it right now for you. can draw on it. It's called Ryno's drawing board now, Grant. We've got a drawing board on the channel. I haven't even told
Kenny
you.
Smith appearing on the program. I
That's
like that.
right. That is right. So we got Ryno's formulas here. But this is what predominantly the Kings offense is running off of right now. And the big difference here with Fox and Monk is look at how close Monk is to this screen that Domas is setting. So what we see out of this most times is Monk coming off right here, or Sabonis cutting in and Monk flaring out and Monk finding him here. The other thing that we're seeing, if they don't get behind Monk, then, or if they do get behind Monk, Sabonis will just guard this guy off and Monk does a little snake dribble and just takes a J right there. But that also makes these two defenders right here make a decision when they run this pick and roll play. You now have basically the entire defense, 4 players in rotation with one to cover this 2 side. So it's putting Keegan Murray in places to be looks. It's looking to have DeMar DeRozan there. And that's the big question is how do you get DeMar looks and how do you double off of him? You can't. And then here you got Fox in the corner. This is the Kings base set. Period. End of story. This is what they want to do. So how do you build around this? And when you look at the shooting this year, it's stepping into threes. This is what is getting the Kings offense to go. But to your point about the defense, that's what's getting them to run, Grant. That's what's allowing them to play both styles where they can execute in the half court, but then also get in teams' faces, be up tempo. It's because you're turning defense into offense. And so it's a drastic difference having a point guard. So yeah, maybe we need to upgrade the roster per se, but I think the construction of this roster was off balance because you've got basically one creator and a bunch of shooters.
So now the Kings are going to have to go 3-1 in their next 4 games to come home 500 after this loss tonight. We are happy that you were with us. We're also happy that we are able to talk about our outstanding sponsors, such as New Works Plumbing. They've got a fixed view. They're available around the clock 24/7 for your plumbing needs and repairs. Just go to sackserviceplumbing.com or newworksplumbing.com, NEWWRXplumbing.com, or call the number on your screen. New Works Plumbing, they've got a fixed view. And don't forget about Sunrise Landing in Colusa, the newest residential community in Colusa. And it is a project from Blazona Development. They have beautiful models to choose from, 6 in all. Remember, there's no homeowners at Sunrise Landing, no Mellorews, and it's a great location adjacent to the Colusa Golf and Country Club. You also have great access to the major roads such as I-5. It's all there for you. Just go to ColusaSunrise.com. Check everything out at Sunrise Landing in Colusa. Kings tonight get blown out. Defense was the story. They allow 141. And oh, wow. Thank goodness you got the Brooklyn Nets coming up next, because if you lose to the Nets, you're once again in a Disasterville situation.
100%. GP, kick us off tonight on the phones.
Hey, how you guys doing, Grant?
Hey there. Go ahead. Do you have a question?
Hello?
Yeah, we got you.
You have a question? Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to say I agree with you guys on the bench, man. We can't get anything out of them. And just wanted to say how, like, man, I expected better things out of Kevin Huerter. You know, he's a sniper. He's just been playing horrible. And going forward, I feel like, you know, we got to bring that ball pressure back and bring that fight back, you know, that we had on that run. And let's see if we could go 500 on this road trip and, you know, keep going for that 5 or 6 spot.
I think the 5 or 6 spot is extremely unrealistic. I mean, I don't think this team's good enough to be 5th or 6th. They're not consistent enough. You know, whether Mike Brown's coaching the team or Doug Christie, the team's been better under Doug. I mean, you'd have to be an idiot to say otherwise.
10-4.
But they still have the same issues. They have the same personnel who have the same issues. And the biggest issue is they're a poor defensive team. And that's not going to change, in my opinion. And here's the other deal. Look at the teams you have coming up. After the Nets and the Sixers, I mean, go ahead and look right after the All-Star break. Look at the schedule. I mean, the teams, this Kings team still has a lot of very challenging games ahead.
I'm going to take you down, GP, because the sound was a little bit too much on the back end there. Yeah, they've got a very challenging schedule. When they come home for their next homestand, we've gone over that one on past shows. You've got Cleveland, Milwaukee, Boston, Oklahoma City. I think you either have Milwaukee and Boston or Boston and Oklahoma City back to back. So it's going to be
Boston's going to be coming out this.
They're going to be seeking.
Remember Golden State went into Boston in the first couple of weeks of the season and beat them, and you saw what Boston did to Golden State the other night. They gave them their worst loss under Steve Kerr's tenure at Golden State. That's what the Celtics are going to be looking to do when they come into Sacramento.
100%. It's a great point. I want to go back to this really quick. I'm not going to draw it up, but I want everybody to see this because we broke down kind of how the pick and roll is what this offense is centered around now for the most part. But you see how Foxy's in the quarter, Grant, and you watched Fox you called most of his career. This is now going to be how you get De'Aaron Fox involved. So how can you make De'Aaron Fox effective being a secondary outside the play? Especially if he's hurt too, and he's not carrying the ball.
Yep. Great question. I'm not so sure you can.
You know, I kind of, to a degree, feel for him because it's a tough ask. How do you get yourself involved in the game?
Yeah, there's so many. I mean, again, Fox continues to be the focal point of our shows and our conversation, both here and on the internet and everything else. I think the best thing for him and this team right now will be right after the trade deadline. So that part of the conversation goes to the back burner because you know, and I know, I mean, you can't go 5 minutes without looking at something about people talking about trading Fox and is he going to stay? Is he going to go?
Right.
And I'm not saying that's a distraction for him and players because this is part of their business. This is what they do, but it will certainly quiet down the fans, I think.
Yep. I would agree with you. I think, though, the consensus on this show, he's not going anywhere at this deadline.
I agree with you. And by the way, about the New York City nightlife, stop with that, would you please? If you think that the Kings were out late, you're delusional. Okay, they're staying in New York because they play Brooklyn next. They can go out tonight, and I'm sure that they will. Okay, they didn't go out last night. All right, and here's something else that I will share with a lot of people because I went through generations of announcing pro sports. The advent of the camera phone and social media has changed the behavioral patterns of the vast majority of athletes. The vast majority of athletes now don't leave the hotel on a road trip because you walk out the door and there's 50 to 100 people waiting for you to sign stuff. And then they are following you. And if you get in a taxi or whatever, the social media is going to determine where you are in a moment. The players don't like that because they are under a microscope now. And because of that, they don't deal with it. So the vast majority of athletes don't even go out anymore. So forget about the nightlife stuff, okay? Are there guys that will go out tonight? Yes, there are. But it's not like it used to be. Trust me.
Much, much different. Yo, Sean, I'm willing to man up and move away from the conversation. You and your group of diehards need to man up and quit using De'Aaron Fox's name in the same sentence as Jalen Brunson and SGA and people like that. Look at Brunson's line tonight, my man. He had 25 points and 11 assists.
Listen, I don't know of anyone in the league that would take De'Aaron Fox over Jalen Brunson or Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. I'm talking about all 30 general managers. Every single one would take either Brunson or SGA. Come on now.
So Fox, this continues to be a conversation because your group of fans continue to push this narrative. We have to fight back against it and say the numbers don't show it. So why don't you drop back a little bit, dude? Come on, man. Come on, Sean.
Hey, the reality is when we break down everything, you break down stuff, you show stuff in diagrams. I talk about the eyeball test. There's a thing called the standings. Okay. Okay. The Kings are 10th in the standings. That's number one. Number two, they've had De'Aaron Fox now for 8 years. They have not won a playoff series. All right.
Yeah.
So let's not just automatically well, he's untradeable. No, listen, everything's on the table right now. Everything. And if you don't think it is, then you're not being fair to yourself. Both keeping Fox and moving Fox.
Good point. PK, welcome to the conversation.
Hey guys. Hi Grant. Hi Ryan.
PK.
Hey, why do you guys have me blocked? Can you free PK, please? You guys have.
Brother, you're not blocked on our end, dude.
I don't know.
Is that all you wanted?
I don't even hear what he said. What did he say?
He said, why do we have him blocked? He is not blocked on our end. So he thinks he can't chat on the chat. I think it's a thing of his issue with his settings. Let's see if we can get him back.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, now we
go
got you
ahead.
back, PK.
PK, what's up?
No mas. Robbie, welcome to the conversation.
Hey, Ryan, are you gay?
Yeah, Robbie's not. Sorry, Robbie. Try again next time, buddy.
You're gay.
As far as being blocked or not blocked, I don't know. If you're blocked, there's a good reason why you are blocked, but I don't recall blocking PK.
PK is not blocked. We do not have him blocked. Baki, what's up, man?
Baki, what's going on?
Hey, how are you guys doing?
Good.
Fine. I think this is the first time I have a desire to speak more about the game of the opponent team than the Kings. So if you don't mind, a few sentences. All the credits to the Knicks. They brought the A game to the floor and deserve this win big time. So believe you or not, I've never missed their game this season. And I'm going to tell you that normally Brunson is way more selfish than he was tonight. I already spoke in some of the previous shows that I consider him and Trae Young from Atlanta the most selfish players in the league. And then he was tonight already how that is the danger for them not to be successful. I mean, for the New York Knicks this season. But tonight was the example how Brunson should be this team leader. And then all the others at the top, not even getting Towns to work harder than usual. So when you put the line at the end, if they continue to play like this, like a team, it will be very difficult for all the others to beat them, even the current champions. That's my thoughts about the Knicks. Very, very good team. Really, very good team. And if you ask me about the Kings, Ryno, really great point you have about that group, let's say Group B, because they showed us what they are capable to do without Fox. So here what I think about it, when you have Fox on the floor, the team is something like, okay, let's see what will Fox do, how he's going to pull the offense. So we are going to adapt to that kind of offense or that kind of play. When Fox is off of the court, they look like the team who knows in advance what kind of plays to take. And they're like more loose. The ball is moving faster. Energy level is higher. So this can be a big problem since Fox must have big minutes from game to the game, from the play to the play, etc. So
I don't disagree with you, Baki. Whatsoever.
That's my point for this game. I hope they're gonna push harder from the next one, because after two defeats, now it's gonna be really tough.
Well, I think we kind of had
how they're losing. It's not even the losing. It's the repetitive pattern. We got the Washington score backwards, but that's okay. Take that one out of the loop. The numbers don't lie in terms of the points allowed. And you're playing a team coming up next that's just awful. They've lost 9 of 10, and you should win that game by 30 points. Let's just be honest.
very interesting for tonight is when we are talking a lot about the bench, but the Knicks are not the team who is using their bench too often. Like tonight was 2020, if I have read it right. I don't know, Ryno. Their bench against our bench is 2020 for the points, but I mean, starters are making life very difficult for the Kings tonight because all of them, Bridges and Anunoby and everybody, just make it real good. If you take Towns, make it more harder. I mean, Towns every night puts more baskets, more jump, more rebounds, and tonight he was a little bit off because all the others are 100% dedicated.
Yeah,
to the
I think
win.
so the thing is, the Knicks do have the worst bench statistically scoring in the NBA, but look, they've got so much firepower up front. It's kind of by construction. They could only spend so much money. And I think the difference with the Kings is this is what they were able to put together and get. They weren't able to go out and get different things. The Knicks could have, if they had the money, improved that bench. They just chose to do it on the front end.
The only problem I see on their team is very similar to the Kings. If they lose, maybe not the similar. If you lose Fox from the injury, you can win the games. But if they lose, for example, Brunson, I mean, very difficult for them.
Yep.
Very difficult. I don't know if they can be a contender anymore without him.
Baki, appreciate it, man. Have a good one, all right?
Appreciate
Take care. I'm not going to get into the Knicks too much. I'm talking about the Kings issues right now, and we thought 3-3 we would take that. 3-3 is going to be challenging, but again, you're taking on Philadelphia after Brooklyn, and Philadelphia plays the night before at home against the Lakers. So, I mean, that is a great situation. Philly's starting to play better. They won again tonight. They had a very impressive win the other night. They're starting to play better, but you're going to get them at a perfect time. Brooklyn lost tonight at home. I think they only scored 97 points at home in a loss to the Miami Heat. So, but to me, we're getting to the point of the season.
They scored 95, I think, and it was against the Knicks, 99-95 last game.
Who did?
Brooklyn.
No, I'm talking about Brooklyn tonight played Miami.
Oh, okay. Got it.
And they lost 106-97.
Got it. So, a couple of low-scoring games for them.
Yeah. So, but I want to get back to what I'm looking at right now. I'm looking at not necessarily wins and losses, and I'm stating that to set up the rest of my statement and my argument. How the Kings are playing right now, to me, is what I am looking at. I've seen them win when I have not been that pleased, satisfied, I haven't been that happy with what I've seen, and vice versa. All right. I've seen them lose where I'm like, wow, that was a hell of a game. They played really well. They got nothing to be ashamed about, blah, blah, blah. The inconsistency, forget about the win streak for a minute. The inconsistency of the Kings, to me today, in the middle of January, is pretty much the same as it's been all year. That's the problem I have with this team. I don't see it getting better. Unless Monty McNair pulls something out of the hat, how's it going to get better? And as far as everyone on the chat line saying that Doug Christie needs to sit Fox down, just so you know, that's not Doug Christie's decision, okay? Doug is not going to make the decision to sit De'Aaron Fox. He would get together with Monty McNair and everyone else, the doctors, the trainers. It would be a group decision. It's not just going to be Doug's decision.
And even if you sit Fox down, that does it change anything with his fingers? Maybe the right hand, but it seems like the left hand is going to need some attention after the surgery. See, I see it a little bit different than you. Okay. I think they identified a few things with Doug. I think that they dumbed things down to a degree. They were not, they're thinking more, they're thinking less and playing more, but in order for everything to break right for them, there's a couple of things, like Doug talks about, the things that are non-negotiables. Those absolutely have to be non-negotiables for this team to play right and look good and look the way that we've seen them play sometimes in losses, where it's like, okay, Well done. And a lot of that is the pace. A lot of that is coming right back at you. If the other team scores a basket, you're flying right back down the court. It's not chirping at the refs. It's just rolling with what you have in front of you and playing for each other. And it just seems tonight they were a step slow. They had rest. There's no reason they couldn't have been running it back. They were occupied with trying to get calls. And for me, I've always thought that's a fascinating line, Grant, because I think it's a little bit of a curious line where it's like where you try to get the call too much and you're taking your full attention away from making the shot rather than just trying to make the shot and let the call come from beyond. And that happened a lot in the second quarter. That happened a lot in the early fourth quarter. And when those things happen, that's when they look like the team to me that you're talking about.
A Rant with Grant is brought to you by EDH Motors, Automotive Reimagined. Go to edhmotors.com. Check out everything they can do for you. They are awesome. David and Adam, two guys trying to do something different and better. This is a long overdue new concept. You go to their website at edhmotors.com, check out all the inventory, everything that they have for you. But if you don't find what you're looking for, it's not a problem. They will get it. They will get it for you. That's what they do. And you'll take delivery at their auto lounge in El Dorado Hills Town Center, which means you don't have to go to a dealership and deal with all of that stuff. It's really, a great new concept. Go to edhmotors.com, talk to David and Adam. That's EDH Motors, Automotive Reimagined. You know, we can sit here and we can do a 20-hour show tonight. We can do a 20-hour show tomorrow, and we can just stay on, maybe sleep 4 hours and come right back. And it's not going to change anything with this team. It's just not. This team has flaws that prevent them from being a legitimate threat in the West. They just do. I mean, you can't ignore that. You can't ignore it. They played 45 games. They're basically a 500 team. Look at how they're playing instead of just looking at whether they win or they lose. And yes, they have been better under Doug, but they have the same flaws. They have a horrible bench. Horrible. One of the worst in the league. Awful. They are a poor defensive team, period. No. They are a bad defensive team. Now, Ryan brought up some numbers earlier that when Keon started in the absence of Fox, particularly their first quarter defense was better. And I agree with that. But see, I'm dealing with reality here in terms of what the big picture is. Ryan's 100% correct. The defense was better. But you see, that's not a situation that can be rectified, because if you're Doug Christie, you're not sitting Malik Monk down, you're not taking him out of the starting lineup, and you're not taking De'Aaron Fox out of the lineup. So as Ryan said, it's up to Doug to find out combinations to put Keon on the floor with those two guys and still be able to do what you want both offensively and defensively. Not easy. We talk about the pieces of the puzzle fitting. The pieces of the Sacramento Kings puzzle still need to fit better. There are too many pieces that have a jagged edge that just don't fit right, and it needs to get fixed, whether it's going to be at the trade deadline or in the summer. The bench needs to be upgraded, number one. Defensively, this team is Swiss cheese, and they are pillows. They're soft. All you got to do is look at the game tonight. They can't play against the Knicks. They're too soft. They got issues, folks. And I'm not saying the Kings can't be a play-in, but I don't see this team being in the playoffs this year. I just don't see it. Can't. Not in the West. I'm sorry. I don't see it. Unless they make some trades that will change my mind. Right now, I don't see it. And that's my rant for tonight.
Okay, good rant. Let's go a little bit deeper into that. Here's the payroll for the Kings. So if they need to switch it up and change the pieces, I don't think the money between Lyles and Herter changes enough, to your point. So, I mean, how, Grant, with this payroll, you got Sabonis, you'll have Keegan next year, and that'll be a decision the year after that. Does it come down to that chunk of money that De'Aaron Fox makes and not Fox as a player?
Yes. Yes, it does. Right?
And I wonder if that's why when we're talking about these picks on the back end, well, why don't we just give up the first round picks, the second round picks? Because if you do retain Fox, that's really kind of the only way you're going to continue improving this team is drafting well and developing talent. Because other than that, you're going to have a mid-level exception in about,
Yeah.
I don't know, 17 million
Well,
to work
if
with.
I'm the general manager, I'm rolling the dice. I've been here now a couple of years. I've been in the playoffs once. I have a point guard who's very talented, but has never won a playoff series in 8 years and has good personnel around him. And the Kings are a 500 team. So to me, the Kings are stuck in the mud. They're not Houston. They're not Memphis. They're not Oklahoma City. And they're not really close to becoming those three teams. I'm just mentioning those three teams for right now.
Right.
Okay. They got San Antonio coming up from the rear.
Yep.
And don't discount what Portland's been doing, but
Agreed.
I'm really focusing on San Antonio. So why would I want to go through this with De'Aaron Fox year after year after year? Why would I not take a commodity and get another commodity and see if that's a better fit, like what Sacramento did when they traded Halliburton and Hield for Sabonis? Nobody's arguing about that. So was it risky? Yeah, it was risky. It's always risky when you make a big trade. But is anybody have a problem with Sabonis?
No, he got you to the playoffs in combination with Fox in a season and a quarter.
So if you took Fox and you got a real sexy piece in return, like a guy that's already been an all-star, like Fox isn't an all-star. He's not going to be on the all-star team this year. Anyone think De'Aaron Fox is going to be on the all-star team this year? He's not going to be on the all-star team.
A lot of people in the chat do.
They're delusional.
I would disagree.
Who's he going to make the all-star team ahead of in the West? Come on.
And unfortunately, the same probably goes for Sabonis. As much as he deserves it, he deserves.
But he does deserve it. Fox. See, that's the difference. I'm glad you just said that. Sabonis deserves to be on the all-star team. Fox does not deserve. Fox is not an all-star this year. I'm sorry, he's not.
Well, the counter argument, what we see in the chat a lot, well, he's in the top 5 in scoring. He gives you 7 assists a night, 7 or 8 assists a night.
Do you think De'Aaron Fox is an all-star?
No, my eyes in what the team has done performance-wise tell me no. I'm just giving you the counter side of the argument, a lot of stuff that comes up from time to time. Let me ask you this. How far off in a completely different situation, Jason Williams was here for 3 years. You had a lot of good pieces back then, and you decided to trade Jay Will for a Mike Bibby.
And it took the Kings to a new level.
And Fox is a bigger piece than Jay Will, but at the time, Jay Will was a big deal. But he wasn't the right deal for Sacramento. Is it kind of, in your eyes, a similar situation?
It's a great analogy. Everything you just said. Yes. You're climbing up the mountain, but it's still way above you. And in order to get there, you're going to need new equipment. The equipment you have on your backpack and everything else is not going to get you there. I mean, you have to ask yourself as an organization, what do you want? Well, ultimately, everyone wants a championship. But you want to be, I mean, can we not forget that the Kings did not make the playoffs last year? And as we sit here right now, I would say it's 50-50 at best that the Kings are going to be in the playoffs this year, at best.
Yeah, I think it's a coin flip. I'm with you.
Hey, I'm going to stick up for my partner here. For all of you morons on the chat line that think that Ryan's giving out false information, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. Do the research that this guy does, and you'll learn that everything that comes out of his mouth is factual. You may not agree with his opinion. You may not agree with my opinion, but go away, would you please? Get a freaking life. Stop it already.
I appreciate that. It's
embarrassing. You know, Ryan is not embarrassing himself. He's actually bringing information that you probably don't want to hear because you don't want to acknowledge that it's factual.
I got to get the other side of the coin. That's what I'm going to do. GP, what's going on tonight? You back?
Hey, how you guys doing?
Good.
Hey there.
Hey, yeah, man, I agree with you guys, man. The front office has to make a move. I don't know whether it's gonna be Fox. I mean, honestly, I hope it's not because the guy seems like he wants to stay with us, and I feel like he's just in his own head, and like for some reason his confidence is wavering, and that could be due to his injury. But he's got to get it together to where he's just attacking the rim nonstop, and getting away from who he used to be. Like he's shooting way too many jump shots. He's shooting way too many threes. He just got to attack the rim and go back to the old Fox sort of say, because he is kind of hurt at this point in the season. And and to help the team out, I think we need somebody like John Collins, because I think Sabonis has like way too much IQ for us not to have, pair him up with another big that can do damage, And going forward in the draft, honestly, we need a 7-footer. Every team's got a 7-footer, or they're developing one. Who's that kid that we had from the bench, guys? Yeah, he's on the Stockton Kings, and he comes in sometimes. I'm forgetting his name.
There's a couple of them.
The box truck guy.
Yeah, but you can't count on those guys to make a difference.
Isaac
right
Jones.
now.
Yeah, Isaac Jones. That's what I'm saying. I know we can't, Grant, but we got. I feel like we got to get
There's a reason
somebody.
why Isaac Jones is in the G League. Okay, there's a reason. Doesn't
Well,
mean that he can't become an NBA player like Keon Ellis, but the chances
I'm just saying, like a game like tonight, we could have used his physicality, but we need somebody. We need a hustle guy like Josh Hart. Josh Hart isn't too big. But
Josh Hart's different. Isaac Jones wouldn't have made a bit of difference in the game tonight. I'm sorry.
Okay, but I'm just saying we need help in the front end of things. We got guards. We just need to help Sabonis and get him some athleticism. Pair him up with somebody that he could throw a lob to and play the high-low game like Chris Webber and Vlade Divac used to. But obviously we got a much younger Vlade Divac and Sabonis, pair him up with somebody that can help us. That's all I'm saying on the front end of things. And for Fox, I just hope he gets it together, because I love the Kentucky connection, man. That I'm here for that. He, like you guys said, he is numbers wise, he's up there, but the eyeball test, it just seems like the guy's checked out sometimes. He's taking fadeaway jump shots to where he should be going straight up, Grant. But I don't know whether it's the finger or what, but he's fading away too much on his jump shot, and he needs to get to the rack and needs to get it together.
GP, thanks for the call, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Let's go overseas. Paolo, what's up, man?
Hey there. How are you?
Hello, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you to you. Well, Grant, I agree with all you're saying, and basically, I would like to see the things in the big picture. What I see in this moment is a team that has an interim coach, a team that has a best player who is in the trading block, a team that has no bench, a team that has the owner that has. So the only thing that I hope is that the general manager that doesn't want to lose his job will really do something because he has 2 weeks now. Because if we go on like this, Fox will lose his value. We will lose time to send him, we will not have anybody interesting. And so I'm a little bit scared about this. I don't know what to think about it.
A lot of pressure on the front office right now. I mean, there's no question. And there's a lot of pressure on Monte McNair because he has an owner that, will be more than willing to move in a different direction with a new general manager. Now that Mike Brown's gone, it would be easy to get rid of Monte McNair. So there's a lot at play here. You also have a lot at play. If the Kings crumble here in the final 35 games and they don't make the playoffs, will Vivek go out and get a new general manager and a new head coach?
Yeah,
and have them come in as a tandem. I mean, there's a lot of things that are going on in this organization right now before
exactly.
the trade deadline and right after the trade deadline.
I really think that this trade deadline is the borderline, is the last time that we can save the ship. We lose the occasion to take great players that destroy us tonight, like Josh Hart, like
Yeah.
Bridges that we wanted to buy last year, but the Knicks buy everybody we wanted to buy. And if we don't do something this time, it will be very, very difficult. That's what I'm scared.
Well, I want to say thank you very much for taking the time to call the show. We appreciate
Yeah.
it when we hear from
Thank you.
man. You take
Thank
care.
you. Bye-bye. Good night, friends.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Paolo.
Love getting the overseas calls and everything else. I'm going to give you a final thought here in a moment, but I want to talk to you. I want to put Ryan in a mood where he's like, why are you doing this to me, Napes? Bennett's Prime Seafood and Steak, everything at Bennett's we love. Thank you very much for their ongoing support of this channel. And don't forget about their brunch available for you tomorrow. Go to bennettsrestaurants.com, whether it's the West Side Grill, whether it's in Roseville or Sacramento. It's all there for you. bennettsrestaurants.com. Prime Seafood and Steak at Bennett's. Enjoy yourself a great meal. And don't forget, again, about their brunch tomorrow at Bennett's, bennettsrestaurants.com.
I'm in a great mood. We're going to be there tomorrow for brunch.
Oh, I'm very happy to hear
We're
that.
dialed in. We are ready. The wife's
Send me a photo, man. Send me a
I will
pic.
do that. You know I will.
All right, so we'll be with you for the Nets game. Ryan will have the pregame. We got halftime with Jerry, the postgame. I'm going to just come out and say it right now. That is a must-win game, period. Must win. In the month of January, I'm calling that a must-win game.
Got to stop the slide. Got to get right. Figure it out. Get a win. You got a chance to get a couple more on the road. Come home over 500.
Appreciate everybody. Thank you very much. Talk to you as the Kings stay in the Big Apple, getting ready for Brooklyn. Hope that you can join us for that. Enjoy the NFL games, the championship games. Yeah, enjoy that. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.